from Spitball.
Thank you very much, and I apologize in advance, it's another AI pitch. So sorry about that. So my name is Jordan Weiss, I'm the COO of Spitball. I'm here today pitching our latest product, Smart Alex, the AI personal assistant for students. We're all obviously familiar with the power of Google search. It's essentially become second nature. If you don't know the answer to something, you just say Google it. Or being in the Microsoft building, I should probably say Bing it. But what do you do when the answer you need requires some sort of specific domain knowledge or expertise that Google can't provide? Can Google or Bing refer you to the right person or place to find the information you need? Unfortunately not in many cases, and this is a problem that students face almost every day. One example is, I missed class, where can I find the notes from last week? Or I have a test coming up next week, where can I find a practice final exam? And even more, academics is just one small subset of the stressors for college students. They're balancing social life, finding a job, anything else involved in their life, managing their finances. So they got a lot of different stresses, and there's no one place or Google search for them to find information that's specific to their college or university. And so for that, we've created Smart Alex, the AI personal assistant for students. Essentially what it is it's a standalone app, uses machine learning and NLP to parse out the student's intent and then provide them the content, information, or people they need that's specific to their university. So Smart Alex provides all of the content that's on Spitball, which is our social studying and communication platform. We've been operating for over 2 years. That has academic notes, class discussions, the ability to collaborate online with your classmates with online quizzes and flashcards. And in addition, Smart Alex provides a slew of other services that students may need on a day-to-day basis. So tutors, student discounts, food, travel, really anything that students may need. And so essentially the thought is to be a one-stop shop for students' needs to find specific information. So what we do can essentially be boiled down to 3 main buckets. One is aggregating this data, school-specific data from all these different sources on the internet and even in person that's hard to find for many students. We know this because we've been talking to students for 2 years and they tell us, why do I have to go one place for quizzes, one place for student discounts? Why is there not one place to find all this information? So one is aggregating all this content. The second thing is collaboration, so allowing them to work with their peers, chat on class discussion boards, as well as use collaborative study tools, private study groups, things like that. And the last is predictive personalization. Through our AI model, we're able to not only respond to requests, but understand what your needs may be. Given if you're an economics major at X school, this job may be a good fit for you, or this discount is available to you, or things like that. So there's also the personalization aspect. And so, why us? Why are we the ones to create this personal assistant? As you mentioned, everyone and their mother is in AI right now. And so the reason is because we've been in the space for 2 years. We have 300,000 users on our platform, mainly in Israel. We launched in the US in September, already have 50,000 in the US as well. And we've seen hundreds of thousands of documents uploaded, millions of posts, millions of chats. And all of this data has given us a bit of a competitive advantage in building our model because we understand student needs, their habits, and the types of things they're looking for. And in addition, it's given us access to all of these students and understanding the types of things they need. A little bit about our team, just something I'd like to highlight. Our CEO and founder, Edan Applebaum, he's based in Israel. He worked as the head of business intelligence at Yahoo, then was a professor at Haas Business School teaching marketing and statistics, and then sold his previous company, Multimedia ABG. So a seasoned team. Our CTO has worked with him at his previous company and now as well. And we're looking for $1 million to help continue the development of our product and to launch nationwide in the US.
All right, great pitch. So in every investor obviously is different. I tend to have a more financial background, so I get excited about numbers. And honestly, if I'm asking questions about numbers, sometimes I can get ahead and effectively answer the other questions that I would ask anyhow. But you mentioned the user base, which was impressive. Whenever we hear numbers like that, we're always curious sort of how are the numbers trending. It's as interesting to us how many people are actively engaged as it is how many have signed up each month or whatever, maybe because retention is such a critical component, right? But so how would you talk through the sort of ongoing trending metrics of the business?
Sure. So in Israel, we see really great numbers. We're kind of the main player in the space. We like to say 60, 30, 20 monthly, weekly, and daily active users in Israel. In the US, we launched and we saw a lot of signups, but not quite as much engagement as we saw in Israel. And that's what led us to create this new product, Smart Alex. The more and more we spoke to students and the more we watched the way they come onto our platform, everyone came with a very specific intent in mind. So it wasn't like you would just come on Spitball and browse your class wall and look for content. It was, you know, I have a test tomorrow, I need something held immediately. And the more we spoke to students, we realized why have them navigate our complex platform and try and find exactly what they're looking for. The time on site was great, but it was a bit of a double-edged sword because students are not finding what they need as quickly as they want. And so that's when we came up with the idea, you know, why don't we simply ask them what they want? And we built this, this AI, Smart Alex. And so, you know, we haven't officially launched it. Our plan is to launch it in the fall semester. But in the US, you know, we've seen steady user growth. From September, we launched at 10 schools. We have an average of 10% of the undergraduate student bodies registered at those 10 schools, and that comes out to about 50,000 users in September.
Okay, and it sounds like, so there's a lot of sign up, but they're not necessarily engaging in much. We're going to have a new product to come out, which will hopefully increase engagement.
Right, that's part of it. We've seen some students with great engagement, particularly at the University of Iowa. We're still trying to figure out exactly why the engagement is so great there. But you know, some schools it's better than others. But you know, looking through all the data, we decided that this was the right route for us.
Okay, and one of the things that we, and it sounds like the team is really has great experience. One of the things we look at with an AI is, especially if it's some kind of assistant, like what is, I want to get a better understanding of what the real sort of interface is. Is it free text entry and you're having a conversation with me? Is it simpler than that? Like what, part of it too is like really what's the expectation of the consumer when they hit the interface? Do they think they can ask any question, and are they annoyed when they don't get the response or it takes too long to find something? Like, so walk me through sort of what that interface is.
Sure. So it's an app. We actually just released our alpha last week. So we've been doing a lot of student testing. So I'll have kind of a more detailed answer for you in a bit. But essentially the thought is that you can ask any question related to school and we'll be able to provide that answer. We've seen some people messing around with it, you know, asking random questions, you know, and so we're figuring out, we use Lewis to help with our NLP. And so, you know, the thought is that a student would come on, you can voice over or type in any question. You know, it can be something like, do you have any past exams for my Econ 101 class? Or, you know, where can I get the cheapest burger on the student card? Or where can I find a job this summer as an econ major at Vanderbilt? And it can be kind of anything that, you know, any need they may have. And right now we're testing it with a bunch of students to figure out the types of questions they're actually gonna ask. But, you know, having operated Spitball, we took all of the posts that were on our class feeds that students would ask each other, and kind of use those to help train our model so we have a basic understanding of the types of questions they'd ask.
Okay, that's helpful. I think, you know, for us, and I'm making jokes about AI, but we have made investments in the space. So we have an investment in X.AI as an example, which, if you're not familiar, it's a virtual personal assistant who can schedule meetings.
Is it Amy Ingram?
Amy Ingram,
Yeah.
and Andrew. We're both Amy and Andrew. And so we have a decent amount of experience with that investment. We have a couple other companies in the space, but that team has a dozen plus PhDs that are trying to solve one discrete problem, which is solving your calendar. And you know, they may never even get to 100% of the questions accurately, but the expectation of the consumer there is that I'm going to write, you know, the way I typically do. I'm just going to CC you in an email, and you're going to solve for the problem. So I think for when we look at these types of things, it might be helpful too. And it sounds like it may be too early to really describe this, but as you build out the product and you sort of capture the data in terms of what's being entered, like what percentage of the questions that the students are asking are you actually providing an answer for? Because for us, and with Amy now, I mean, you can schedule 90+% of the meetings, mostly automated, right? But if you have a solution that's out and, you know, they can only answer like half of the questions accurately, and some people say it's a waste of time, you know, then it can be really challenging, and it's annoying as the developer because you're like, this is insanely hard to answer these questions. You should be thrilled that I'm getting 50% of them accurately, but you know, consumers have these expectations, and so like really understanding what portion of the questions you guys are answering accurately over time would be interesting, I think, to an investor.
Definitely, and that's something you know, we've considered kind of taking a look at the early questions we've been getting to make sure we focus. You know, if everyone's coming out and asking academic questions, we're going to make our focus that. We've also kind of toyed around with the idea of if someone's not getting the answer they want, having a human come in and replace the AI, kind of ensure that everyone has a positive experience with us. Obviously, scaling that is a bit of a challenge, but you know, our goal is to make sure, you know, our goal is to answer 100% of their questions.
I mean, look, and those can be interesting businesses as well. Even when we made the original investment in Next.ai, we should look at minimum. This is a business that could automate 90% of the human work that has to be done by a traditional assistant. And there are plenty of good companies out there that have assistant-type businesses that do leverage the human element, but you know, if you can cut out 75, 80% of the work, there's still a real business there. You just have to be able to describe sort of the unit economics around the business and understand how you can monetize with these users too, right? So,
okay, that's a wrap. So, thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Okay, is Mehdi here from Mason App? There we are. Come on down.
Hi everyone, I'm Emmanuel, CMO at Mason.
And I'm Mehdi, CEO of Mason. We're coming from France, so whatever happens, sorry for the accent. We'll do our best. So we're going to start by a question. Did you know that 50% of the traffic of any website in the world comes from SEO, search engine optimization? Google, Bing, Yahoo. Which means that for you, for me, for everybody here, there's one question which is one of the most important we have to answer to when we create startups or companies. How can I be in the first page of Google?
And unfortunately, there are some people which their job is to actually answer this question every day. These people are SEO specialists. And we're going to explain you how we are going to change the SEO market, the online visibility market, by listening carefully to these people. So what we did is we came to New York 6 months ago and we interviewed dozens of SEO specialists. We asked them what they were doing each day. And with these interviews, we built a big map of their everyday workflow. And we made an incredible discovery.
Which was also a bit depressing.
We discovered that these people are spending half of their day on low-value, boring, and repetitive tasks.
This is a huge problem because, you know, if, for example, in your company, there was 3 search engine optimization specialists working, since the beginning of this event, they would have cost you $164. If this is only for doing low-value tasks, then we think that it's not acceptable. We've tried dozens of other SEO software. They are all trying to bring more and more data and insights and information. But none of them is addressing the real and crucial issue, which is, can you do something for me? Can you make my life easier?
And this is why we created Mason. Mason is the first SEO software dedicated to save SEO specialists' time. Mason streamlines the entire SEO workflow in one screen, not one software, one screen, which means that SEO specialists can, with the same unique interface, get keywords, data, and insights, but can also optimize their website. Because we think that data is only good if you can act upon it. So Mason integrates a connection to all major CMS. Moreover, with our artificial intelligence, again, sorry, Mason does not only provide you data, it really understands your business, so it can help you take strategic decisions.
We started to develop Mason in January. We already have a beta, and with this beta, we have seen that our first user can do in 1 hour what normally takes 1 day. And we think that we can bring this value to all the web marketing tasks, because now we are on SEO, but we can do that for AdWords, we can do that for social media. Because we think that what is important is to help humans to focus on what really brings value. Mason is about what really matters to you.
Because we think that humans should only focus on creativity.
And that technology should do the rest.
That was very good. The accents weren't bad at all. I think everyone understood it. The one thing you guys didn't touch on is your backgrounds. I'd love to hear about your backgrounds.
Okay. So actually, I'm a biophysicist engineer. And 1 year ago, I started to get bored doing biophysics. I worked in the medtech in a startup. So I decided to go into web trade, and I'm doing marketing and product management at Mason.
And I've done studies in law, a law degree, but I've never been a lawyer. And I started since 8 years, so this is my fourth.
Okay, thank you. I think it's certainly at our fund, and I think most early stage investors, I mean, I would say 3/4 of our decision is based on the team. So certainly, and I don't know what guidelines are doing, but I would always definitely start with your backgrounds. It's always interesting even just to hear the genesis of the idea based on what your background was. It just lends a lot more credence to the story. So certainly feel free to add that in the beginning. And then in terms of the space you guys are operating in, so ad tech, marketing tech, whatever you want to call it, there's a lot of investors that don't like it right now. We happen to have made plenty of investments. We just had a very successful exit, a company in New York called Moat that was in the space, so we're happy to invest in this segment. But a lot of investors don't necessarily like the space if they think you're ad tech, if you may be like sort of campaign-based selling, that kind of thing. It doesn't sound like that's what you guys are doing. It sounds like it's more marketing tech. I presume it's SaaS or some kind of volume-based selling. But to get over that issue with some investors, sometimes it's helpful just to address what the potential market size is and talk a little bit about your sort of go-to-market strategy so people understand that you can get after these people efficiently. So maybe talk a little bit about sort of what you think of as your addressable market. And when I say addressable market, I mean, and this is the thing too, if an investor ever asks about your addressable market, typically they really want to understand the revenue that you can clearly access. I mean, obviously the dollars spent on SEO are ludicrously large, but in terms of the dollars you can charge as sort of a vendor in this space, like how do you think about the size of this potential market?
Well, in fact, we know that there are 10 billion spent on SEO campaigns for the US, but our value is that we are going to save money for the companies, so we will charge them so that at the end it's more interesting for them to buy our product than just continue doing without it.
So to clarify, they spend 10 billion on, like, are they spending 10 billion on Google and you're going to drive more efficiency? No, they're spending 10 billion on vendors.
In time, because in fact SEO is only time. It's only time that I'm going to spend, because in fact you can think that it's free because it's just organic search, but in fact you need to spend a lot of time to be in the first page for all your keywords.
Okay, got it. All right, so in the pitch then I talked about how, look, these companies spend $10 billion annually on human capital for this space. We're going to allow them to do in 1 hour what they typically do in a day, right? Exactly. So that's a big addressable market. And then what about your sales strategy? So how are you going to go out and acquire these customers?
Sorry. We are currently testing different channels. For the moment, what works very well is Facebook ads, SEO, and YouTube. So we think that we are going to focus on those three channels. And we would like to have a model where there is no need to take the phone and ask to have the right person, and then, well, classical business development. We would like to have a very good conversion channel so that people find us, like us, and buy.
And are you going to need to have, and this is a critical thing, if you're in any kind of software sales, obviously, we want to understand, is it inbound marketing? Is it an inside sales team? Do you have people, do you have feet on the street? But so it sounds like it's mostly sort of inbound marketing tactics or some paid marketing. People are going to come to your site. Is it going to be completely self-serve, or are you going to need to have any kind of customer service or training?
Okay, so I think it depends. If you have big accounts, of course, you need to have some onboarding people, but mostly you don't need to do any complicated onboarding with our technology. For example, the way we connect to CMS, we automate it, so people don't have even to bother to install a plugin, so it's completely automated. I think for big accounts, you still need to have someone, but we want to decrease this number of people as much as possible.
Okay, that's helpful context. I'd add something about that to the pitch as well. Like, look, if you think it's a very simple onboarding process that requires very limited customer support, That's an important thing for people to understand. I mean, with ad tech, what I think freaks investors out the most is thinking, I got to pay 10 people 300 grand a year to go out and do stuff, right? But if you can truly have them, if they can come in through paid marketing, inbound marketing, whatever it may be, and they can be onboarded with very limited customer service and support, that's great. I mean, maybe you're doing webinars and you have forums for people to share and that kind of thing, but just have that a little more sort of played out in your mind so you can explain to people how sort of simple that will be. And the thing that people will want to understand is like, what are you going to charge these customers on an annual basis? And like you said, for the bigger accounts, certainly it makes sense to have customer support, but and it varies by industry. But if you have something that you're charging, 10, 20 grand a year for, clearly you can't have people meeting them in person. You can barely have customer support. If they're doing 100 grand plus, obviously you can have more of that support. But people want to think about those types of unit economics of the business, so make sure to explain that well.
Okay.
I just
Thank you guys very much. So now for the last pitch, we're going to do something a little fun, a little different, and I'm going to surprise Joe with this as we're speaking. So what we're going to do is this. How many people